Do you have a tree? Well, I'm sure you have a tree, maybe two, maybe five, maybe 20 on your property, be it cedar, oak, conifer, pine, what have you. But do you have a tree? Let me clarify. When I was born on May 9, 2002, my parents planted a redwood oak tree in my grandparents' front yard. And later, when I grew up, 3 or 4 years old, I had a conversation with them about it, and they told me, Ian, this is your tree. It's going to grow tall just like you one day. Of course, the tree is 40 feet tall today, which is significantly taller than I am, if you were wondering. But I digress. I was really excited about this development, and I talked with some of my classmates about this on my first week of kindergarten. And I asked them, what kind of tree is yours? What kind of tree do you have? Mine's a redwood oak. And they responded with a common answer. They didn't have a tree. And I was particularly disappointed about this. And I talked to my parents about it later that day when I got picked up from school. And they told me it's a pretty family-specific tradition that we have. And unfortunately, I do wish that more families had this tradition. Imagine if every single kid had their own tree. We'd have 8 billion more trees in the world, which would certainly help to combat some carbon dioxide emissions, which is a huge problem that's going on today. There have been some potential solutions offered for this problem, including having more eco-friendly fuels, having cleaner natural energy, and potentially reducing the amount of plastic products that we use today. I would offer up a more direct solution to this, though, which is just planting more trees. And one way to help plant more trees is the seed drone. And the seed drone is exactly how it sounds. It's a drone that shoots seeds out of it. And they've been around for the past decade or so, since about 2012. And they've played a significant role in reforestation efforts over the past decade. I'll talk about how they work, some of their limitations, and how they've already helped in the 10 years that they've been around. So how do seed drones actually work? Well, first and foremost, they conduct a flyby as a traditional drone would over a given area of land, and they scan a 3D area. Next, programmers look at this 3D scan and they determine an algorithm for how the seed drones are going to operate in this given area of land. Next, the seed drones actually take this algorithm and shoot seeds across the area that they're given, as the programmers would have them operate. And of course, the seeds that they shoot aren't just seeds. They're capsules full of seed, some dirt, potentially some clay, even some hot peppers in some cases to deter predators. And you might be asking yourself, well, why not just use the traditional approach of hand planting seeds as a volunteer? Or potentially, on the other end of the spectrum, why not just have a helicopter or plane flyby and dump a bunch of seeds out the back of the plane? Well, I have a multifaceted response to that. On the volunteer end of the spectrum, as a traditional volunteer is only able to plant 1,000 seeds a day, which you might be telling yourself, 1,000 seeds a day, that's a lot of seeds. But a seed drone can plant 50,000 seeds in one day by itself. That's 50 times as efficient as the traditional volunteer would be able to do. On the other end of the spectrum, helicopters and planes have a seed germination rate significantly lower than a seed drone would. And with the seed shortage that has plagued a lot of areas recently, especially those affected by wildfires, this is no longer an approach that's viable just due to the shortage of seeds. So as a result of this, seed drones have become a really important tool in reforestation efforts in the past decade. So what are some limitations of seed drones? I just advertised why they're so good. What are the limitations? Well, one limitation is actually their seed germination rate. While it is significantly higher than helicopter or plane mass flybys, it still only sits at around 20%. And in some areas, like I've mentioned in the California, Australia wildfire areas, sometimes the seed shortage is so bad that the only effort that can actually get a significant amount of regrowth is the volunteer effort, because planting 1,000 seeds manually is going to lead to a higher seed germination rate than even a seed drone would. So that 20% number is sometimes not high enough in some cases. So there's a potential limitation. Another limitation is the cost. Seed drones are going to be more expensive than just having a bunch of volunteers help you reforest areas, or even paid workers. They're going to be more expensive than that too. Another limitation is actually legal restrictions. The FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, has only allowed one seed drone company right now, which is Silvaseed / Drone Seed, to fly what they call a heavy lift seed drones in restricted airspaces, and so or general airspaces, I should say. And so, as a result of this, there's not actually a bunch of drones, seed drones, that are able to operate en masse in the U.S. And there, of course, there are other legal restrictions in other countries, but that's just an example for the U.S. So, how have seed drones already helped in the 10 years that they've been around? Well, they've helped in mangrove forests in Myanmar, which have actually, there's a study done that found that 24 million tons of carbon dioxide per year are emitted into the atmosphere as a result of only mangrove deforestation, which is, of course, a huge number. And so seed drones have helped to reforest some of the mangrove forests in these coastal regions. Seed drones have also, in Australia, due to the wildfires, there was a technology, Airseed Technology, a company in Australia that has already planted 50,000 seeds with seed drones in Australia. And they plan on planting 100 million more by 2024. Drone Seed, as I mentioned before, / Silvaseed, has already gotten a sponsorship worth $36 million from a plethora of companies in order to reforest some areas in California with the wildfires. I really do wish that everyone could be able to have their own tree. Thanks to Silvaseed and Drone Seed and some other companies that have been entertaining this idea as well, you can actually have your own tree now. When you buy a product that sponsors Silvaseed or Drone Seed, you can actually see your very own tree that gets planted wherever they're operating. And hopefully by 2027, there's going to be some kids lucky enough to be talking about, here's my own tree in California or Australia or what have you.